The Galactic Council Hall was the quietest place in known space. It was built that way on purpose. The ceiling rose so high that no species could see the top. The walls were smooth metal and living stone, shaped to calm even the most violent minds. Long tables stretched across the chamber, each one designed for a different body shape, gravity need, and biology. This hall had stopped wars. This hall had ended empires. And today, every seat was filled. More than 300 species sat together, watching the center platform. Some breathed gas, some absorbed light, some whispered through translators. Others stayed silent, their eyes never blinking. They were not afraid of war. They were afraid of words. Because every species in the galaxy knew one truth. Every civilization had one sentence. A sentence spoken only once. A sentence that meant extinction. The Krell shouted theirs before burning worlds. The Vorn sang theirs during ritual slaughter. The Threks hissed theirs as their stars went dark. Different words, same meaning. There will be nothing left. The council meeting had already gone on for 6 long cycles. Accusations were traded, borders were argued, threats were made, loudly and proudly. Then the humans were called to speak. The human representative stood slowly. She was smaller than most in the room, no armor, no weapons, just dark clothing and calm eyes. Her name was not important. None of the aliens would remember it. What they would remember was her voice. She did not raise it. She did not shout. She did not look angry. She placed both hands on the table and spoke clearly. This is us being patient. That was all. No threat, no promise, no demand. Silence swallowed the chamber. Not normal silence, fearful silence. Several older species reacted instantly. An ancient Lyran elder froze, his skin turning pale. A Kesh observer quietly closed all 4 of her eyes. A Volgrim warlord's grip tightened on the table until the metal bent. They had heard this before. Not these words, but this tone. The younger species did not understand. They looked around, confused. Some even laughed quietly. "That's it?" one whispered. "That's the human warning?" another mocked. But the elders did not laugh. They remembered. Long before humans joined the galaxy, records had already started to form. Quiet stories, half-lost data, warnings buried deep in archives. Humans were not loud when they ended things. They were calm. The council speaker tried to continue the meeting, but the tension would not break. Eyes kept returning to the human table. The human woman sat down slowly, as if nothing important had happened, but something had. A translator drone drifted closer to an elderly scholar from the Nyrex collective. His voice trembled as he spoke. "They said it," he whispered. "Who said what?" asked a young delegate. "The sentence," the scholar replied. "Not the words, the meaning." The younger delegate frowned. "They didn't threaten anyone." The scholar's eyes darkened. "That's why we should be afraid." Across the hall, a massive reptilian species slammed a claw on the table. "This is nonsense. Humans have no extinction sentence. They argue, they debate, they compromise. We have studied them." "Yes," the scholar said softly. "That is the first stage." The reptilian leader laughed. "Then what is the second?" The scholar swallowed. "Patience." A memory surfaced in the council archives. Old footage, blurry and damaged. A human colony once surrounded by enemies. Negotiations lasted years. Humans offered resources, borders, apologies. Then the recording cut to a simple message. No shouting, no anger, just calm words. "This is us being patient."
3 cycles later, the enemy civilization no longer existed. No great explosion, no dramatic final battle, just silence. Back in the council hall, the human delegation remained still. No movement, no reaction. The mistake came from the alliance of dominant stars. They had grown powerful quickly. Their fleets were large, their confidence larger. One of their leaders stood and pointed toward the humans. If that is all humans have to say, then we have nothing to fear. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Older species began sending quiet evacuation signals. The human woman looked up. She met the speaker's eyes. Still calm, still controlled. She spoke again. This is us being polite. That was when panic truly began. A high-ranking insectoid collapsed where he sat. A crystalline being shattered part of its own shell in fear. Several delegates stood up and rushed toward the exits, ignoring protocol. The alliance leader laughed again. Empty words. Humans always talk. The narrator would later record this moment as the exact moment where survival was still possible, because humans had not yet said the final sentence. The council hall trembled slightly as emergency signals flared across the galaxy. Ships powered up. Ancient species fled without explanation. The human delegation remained still. No movement, no reaction. Because humans did not rush extinction. They allowed time for others to leave. And when the final sentence finally came, it would not be shouted. It would be said calmly. And no one who heard it would survive to repeat it.
Fear did not spread through the galaxy like fire. It spread like ice, slow, silent, impossible to stop. In the Galactic Council hall, the meeting had officially ended, but no one felt safe. Delegates whispered to each other in low voices. Data pads glowed as ancient records were opened and forgotten files were pulled from deep archives. Everyone wanted the same answer. Why did calm humans frighten the galaxy? The answer was not simple, but it was clear. Humans were different because they did not rush. Most species reacted fast when threatened. They showed strength, they shouted, they attacked. They wanted fear to come from noise and power. Humans did not. They listened. They waited. They allowed insults to continue longer than any known species. They accepted losses without response. They even apologized when attacked if it bought more time. To the galaxy, this looked like weakness. To historians, it looked like preparation. Far from the council, on an observation station orbiting a dead star, an old Volgrim war analyst spoke to a group of young officers. His body was covered in scars from wars long past. "You fear human anger," he said. "You should fear their calm." One officer tilted his head. "Calm means control." "No," the analyst replied. "Calm means the decision is already made." He activated a hologram. A timeline appeared. Every human conflict followed the same shape. First came communication. Humans talked more than anyone. They debated every option. They tried every peaceful solution. Second came silence. No messages, no threats, no response. Third came the sentence. Never shouted, never repeated, spoken once. After that, there was nothing left to negotiate. The analyst turned off the display. "When humans stop asking," he said, "they start explaining." Back at the council, the younger species argued. "This is fear from old wars," one delegate said. "Humans are emotional creatures. They get angry. They make mistakes." An elder from the Yeth collective answered calmly. "That is exactly why they survive."
The elder showed records from dozens of systems. Humans had lost wars. Humans had lost planets. Humans had lost billions of lives. And still they waited. When humans finally acted, they did not seek revenge. They sought removal. Removal of threats, removal of risk, removal of future problems. That was why the galaxy feared them. Humans did not fight to prove strength. They fought to make sure the same mistake could never happen again. A junior council member asked the question everyone feared. Why do humans give warnings at all? An elder paused before answering. Because humans believe in fairness, he said. They give time for others to leave. In another system, an alien merchant convoy changed course without explanation. A religious world canceled its holy festival. Several border fleets quietly withdrew from shared space. They all understood the signal. Human calm had been observed. On Earth, deep beneath the surface, a human strategist stood before a screen filled with stars. He listened without emotion as reports arrived. "Evacuations increasing," one voice said. "Alliance fleets holding position," another reported. The strategist nodded once. "They still think this is talk," he said. "Should we clarify?" someone asked. The strategist shook his head. "No, we already did." That was another reason the galaxy feared humans. They believed that once a warning was given, responsibility shifted. If others stayed, it was their choice. In the council hall, the alliance of dominant stars gathered privately. Their leaders were angry now. "They are bluffing," one said. "Humans always bluff." "They have no right to threaten extinction," another said. An older advisor remained silent. He had seen human calm before. Bluffs are loud. This was not loud. The alliance ignored him. They began to plan pressure, economic blocks, border raids, a show of strength. Across the galaxy, ancient species accelerated their escape plans. One ancient inscription was shared again and again through private channels. It came from a civilization that no longer existed. The inscription read, "Humans waited. We laughed. They spoke once. We do not exist." In the council archives, a final historical note was uncovered. Humans had many words for anger, but only one sentence for the end. And when humans said it calmly, it meant they had already accepted the cost, not of war, but of erasing someone completely. The narrator would later explain it simply. Anger could fade, fear could pass, rage could be controlled, but calm meant humans had already decided that the galaxy would be better without you. And once humans reached that calm, nothing could change their mind.
The galaxy had one last chance to step back. Most did. Ancient species moved their fleets away from shared space. Trade routes shifted overnight. Embassies closed without explanation. Entire populations were quietly evacuated. But the alliance of dominant stars did not move. They watched the human reaction and saw nothing. No fleets gathering, no weapons charging, no angry messages. To them, human calm looked like fear. Inside the Alliance war chamber, the leaders stood around a glowing star map. Human territory appeared small compared to theirs. "They are hesitating," one commander said. "This is our moment." Another leader nodded. "If we strike now, they will surrender." An older advisor tried to speak. "This is not hesitation," he warned. "This is preparation." They ignored him. The Alliance wanted proof. They wanted to break the human image of calm strength. They wanted to show the galaxy that humans could be pushed.
So they chose a target. Not a military base, not a fleet, a colony. The human world of Haven Reach sat near the edge of Alliance space. It was small, peaceful, lightly defended, mostly civilians. The attack came without warning. Alliance ships dropped from faster-than-light space and fired into the planet's upper atmosphere. Cities lost power, transport lanes collapsed, civilian stations burned in silence. No message was sent, no demand was made. The Alliance broadcast the attack across the galaxy. This is your future. Obey or fall. The galaxy froze. Ancient species shut down their long-range sensors. Others watched in horror. Some prayed. They all waited for the human response. On Earth, the news arrived quietly. Screens filled with images of burning skies and falling structures. Human leaders stood in silence as the reports continued. No one shouted. No one argued. A young officer finally spoke. Should we respond? The senior human representative nodded. Yes, she said calmly. Prepare a message. Across the galaxy, a single human transmission activated. No dramatic music, no threats, no raised voices, just a human voice, clear and steady. Now we are actually getting annoyed. That was all. In the Galactic Council hall, chaos erupted. Older species stood and fled immediately. Emergency exits were forced open. Ancient delegates abandoned protocol and safety. They had heard it, not the words, the meaning. The Alliance leaders laughed at first. That's it, said one. That is their anger? But laughter did not last. Within hours, strange things began to happen. Alliance supply fleets failed to arrive. Communication relays went silent. Navigation beacons stopped responding. At first, commanders blamed malfunction. Then, stars began to disappear from their maps. Not destroyed, disconnected. Human fleets had moved, but not toward Alliance worlds. They moved toward infrastructure. Deep space relays vanished. Trade hubs went dark. Fuel depots were erased without explosions, leaving nothing but drifting dust. The Alliance sent a message. Cease these actions, they demanded. No reply. They sent another. Still nothing. The silence was worse than any threat. On human command stations, officers worked calmly. No cheering, no anger, just focus. They were not fighting, they were removing. A human analyst explained it to a junior officer. We don't need to destroy their worlds, he said. We just need to make sure they can never hurt anyone again. What about Haven Reach? The officer asked. The analyst paused. We already accepted that cost. That sentence alone would later be studied in terror. In Alliance space, panic spread. Fleets attempted to regroup, but without communication, they drifted blindly. Planets waited for orders that never came. One Alliance leader finally understood. This was the warning, he whispered. We forced it. It was too late. Human actions continued, steady and unstoppable. Each system fell silent, one by one. Not through fire, through absence. The galaxy watched and learned. The human sentence had been spoken, and extinction had already begun.
The Krell Dominion believed surrender would save them. High Marshal Dorak sent the signal across every known channel. The words were simple, clear. We surrender. Across the galaxy, many breathed in relief. The war had been short, strange, and terrifying. No massive battles, no heroic last stands, just silence and loss. But the humans did not respond right away. Human fleets remained in place, dark shapes against the stars, watching, waiting. In the Krell capital system, panic spread. Civilian ships tried to flee. Military officers argued. Commanders demanded answers. Why did the humans not stop? Dorak stood in the command chamber, staring at the stars. He felt something he had never known before: regret. Because surrender should have ended the war. But humans did not fight like the Krell. They did not fight to win battles. They fought to remove threats. Deep within human space, Project Last Option continued to run. Systems checked each other. Human minds and machines reviewed the war again and again. One conclusion appeared every time. The Krell had crossed the line. They had targeted a human core world, not a military base, not a border outpost, a world filled with history, culture, and civilians. That decision changed everything. Human leaders gathered. No shouting, no anger, only quiet voices and hard facts. "If we stop now," one commander said, "they will remember how close they came. If we finish this," another replied, "no one will ever try again." The decision was made, not with joy, with certainty. Human fleets moved. For the first time, the galaxy saw human weapons in full use. Space bent around human ships, gravity fields twisted, Krell vessels froze in place, trapped between moments. Weapons did not fire, they disappeared. Entire Krell fleets were shut down without explosions. Power systems drained. Artificial suns inside their reactors went dark. The Krell tried to resist. They failed. On captured command ships, Krell officers watched their empire collapse on silent screens. "No battle," one whispered. "No honor." A human officer replied calmly, "Honor is for stories. Safety is for survival." Across the galaxy, human fleets reached Krell shipyards, manufacturing worlds, military academies. They did not destroy them. They turned them off. Factories stopped, ship cores locked, weapon systems erased their own codes. The Krell Dominion was not burning, it was ending. Dorak demanded to speak to the human high command. When the channel opened, he stood proud, wounded, and desperate. "You have won," he said. "Why continue?" A human admiral answered, "We are not continuing, we are concluding." She explained the mistake. The Krell believed surrender ended war. Humans knew surrender ended fighting. War was something else. War was memory. War was fear. War was the promise of return. The Krell invasion of a human core world created a future risk too great to allow. The human admiral spoke one final truth. "You taught us something," she said. "You taught us that mercy without certainty is only delay." Project Last Option reached final phase. Across Krell space, long-hidden human devices activated. They had been placed quietly over decades. No one noticed. No one searched. Now they woke. Communication networks collapsed. Star lanes closed. Navigation failed. The Krell Dominion was isolated from itself. Worlds could not speak to each other. Armies could not move. There was no final battle. Only realization. In the Galactic Council, horror spread. Delegates watched an empire fall without a single world being destroyed. An elder whispered, "This is not war." Another replied, "This is erasure." The human ambassador stood. "This," she said, "is prevention." She explained the cost. The Krell would survive. Their people would live. Their culture would remain.
but their ability to threaten extinction was gone forever. Human fleets finally withdrew. The stars felt empty. Dvorak stood alone on his flagship as power faded. He looked out into space and understood the truth too late. The big mistake was not attacking humans. It was assuming humans would stop halfway. Humans did not fight to punish. They fought to make sure the war could never return. And now the galaxy would remember.
The end did not arrive with fire. That was what shocked the galaxy the most. There were no massive explosions, no stars went supernova, no worlds cracked apart in bright flashes. Instead, the alliance of dominant stars began to fade, slowly at first, then all at once. Entire systems went dark, not because they were destroyed, but because they were forgotten by the machines that kept them alive. Power grids failed, climate controls shut down, food production systems stopped without warning. Planets waited for help that would never come. In the Galactic Council hall, the few remaining delegates watched live data streams with silent fear. Red warning symbols filled their screens. "This is extinction," an elder said quietly, "but without destruction." That made it worse. Civilizations had time to understand what was happening. Alliance leaders sent surrender messages into the void. They begged, they promised peace, they offered resources and obedience. No human reply came. Not because humans were cruel, because the conversation was already over. Human fleets were no longer near Alliance space. They had moved on to other duties. The extinction was now automatic. Human systems worked in silence. Long-range interdiction fields stayed active. Recovery fleets were blocked. Trade routes remained closed. Nothing attacked. Nothing explained. Nothing helped. On one Alliance world, a governor stood before his people. The sky above was clear. The city still stood. Yet he knew the truth. "We are alone," he said, "and we will remain so." Within months, hospitals shut down, not from damage, but from lack of power. Transportation stopped. Food became scarce. There were no heroes, no final battles, only waiting. That was the part no one expected. Humans had given them time to realize their fate. An ancient species watching from afar recorded the event carefully. They named it the quiet ending. Human historians would later describe it with one sentence: removal without hatred. On Earth, human leaders monitored the process without emotion, not because they felt nothing, but because feeling changed nothing. A young analyst finally asked the question many were afraid to voice: could we stop it? The answer came calmly. "Yes," the commander said, "but we won't." Why? Because then they would try again. That was the human logic the galaxy struggled to understand. Mercy now meant danger later. Silence ensured safety forever. As years passed, Alliance worlds fell silent one by one. Some species adapted and survived in small numbers. Most did not. Their records ended not with screams, but with fading signals. The galaxy watched and learned. New species entering space were shown the recordings. They were taught the signs: human calm, human patience, human silence. All meant the same thing: run. In the Galactic Council hall, new laws were written. The strongest rule was simple: if humans say they are annoyed, the matter is no longer political. It is survival.
A final message from a dying Alliance archive was discovered centuries later. It had been recorded for no one, sent to nowhere. It said, "They did not hate us. They did not shout. They did not enjoy this. That is why we are gone." That message became mandatory study across the galaxy, because it proved the most terrifying truth of all. Humans did not need rage to destroy you. They only needed to decide that you should not exist anymore. And once that decision was calmly made, extinction followed without drama, without mercy, and without witnesses. The extinction no one saw coming was not loud. It was quiet, and it was final.
Centuries passed. The galaxy did not forget. New stars were charted, new species rose into space. Old empires faded into history, but one lesson remained stronger than all others. Human calm was dangerous. In the rebuilt Galactic Council hall, the design was different now. The walls were lower, the lighting was softer, emergency exits were larger and never locked. Fear had shaped the architecture. At the center of the chamber, carved into a single black stone, was a sentence written in hundreds of languages. "If humans say they are annoyed, leave immediately." Every delegate saw it before taking their seat. Every species learned why. New ambassadors were required to study the records, not battle footage, not explosions, transcripts. Simple human statements spoken in calm voices. This is us being patient. We are still being polite. Now we are actually getting annoyed. Each one marked a point of no return. A young delegate from a newly discovered species once asked a question during training. Why didn't the humans warn them more? The instructor answered calmly, "They did. The others just didn't listen." Galactic law changed because of that mistake. Human space was given special status. Their borders were never tested. Their words were treated as binding signals, not threats. If humans expressed annoyance, all negotiations ended immediately. No votes, no debates, no delays. Survival took priority over pride. Humans did not ask for this power. They accepted it. Not because they wanted control, but because they wanted peace. In human history archives, the event was recorded simply as the Alliance incident. No medals were given, no holidays created. It was not celebrated, it was acknowledged. On Haven Reach, the colony that had suffered the attack, a memorial stood. It listed names, not enemies. The plaque read, "They gave us time to leave. They chose not to." The galaxy understood that message deeply. Years later, when a minor species began to threaten a human research outpost, the response was immediate. Not from humans, from everyone else. Trade routes closed, support vanished, pressure mounted. The species backed down without a single human ship moving. That was the true legacy. Humans no longer needed to speak the sentence. The galaxy spoke it for them. In council training halls, one rule was taught above all others. Humans are not dangerous because they are violent. Humans are dangerous because they are patient. They tolerate until tolerance becomes pointless. They warn once, and when they stop talking, the story is already over. A final record was added to the Galactic Archive, written by a neutral observer species. It said, "Many civilizations end with fire. Some end with war. One ended with calm humans deciding the galaxy would be safer without them." That record became the closing lesson for every future leader. The narrator ends the story with a simple truth. Every species has an extinction sentence. Most shout it in rage. Humans say it calmly, and that is why the galaxy listens.